Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's so special edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. Steffi Funk is such a joy and so much fun and so profound to be with. And for me, our energetics together, they just keep expanding in these adventurous, shamanic, kind of knowing, exploration type of ways. So what comes through for me is both so cosmic and so grounded simultaneously. And I'd say even go beyond grounded and even goes perhaps into the underworld. And what does that mean? And what does that mean from a shamanic perspective? And what does that evolve in all of us? This is, oh my God, it's always so intriguing what comes up and through when we have these conversations with Steffi. So it's gonna be an amazing conversation today and transmission. And Steffi's also going to share a process of transmission a little bit later that I think is going to be really timely. No, I know for so many of us as we're clearing out the closet in ways that we never thought that we could before, and how the energies are helping us to do that. But by having these tools, awarenesses, and someone that can hold the space for us to transmute it, the grace, the ease, and the intelligence that lands within us is something that can never be taken away. So again, this is gonna be an amazing phone call. I hope that you sit back, relax, enjoy. If you have a personal question, raise your hand. We're getting into Q&A as well. But for everybody, when those Q&As are for everybody also, but for everybody right now, we're really going to get into how to shamanically work with energy to heal yourself, remove obstacles, and listen to this and create anything you want. And Steffi, I'm not going to even read your bio. It's like, welcome. It's so good for you to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm so happy to be back here with you. I've been just so excited.
So tell everybody that may be new to you what it is that you do. You do so many things, but if you were to define it for a broader audience, I'd love it from your perspective.
Yeah, so I'm a shamanic healer and soul purpose specialist. So what this means is I work with shamanic energetic tools to help people to clarify and manifest their soul purpose so that they can have that joy, abundance, and freedom that they just know deep down they were put here to have. And rise as the light worker they were born to be, because the world needs it.
It's wonderful. Period.
Yeah. And I teach, I think one of the keys is that I teach others how they can also tap into their own inner shaman, so that it's not just, fishing for someone, but rather teaching them how to fish themselves so that they can continue to create what they want to create as the light worker they're here to be, and work with the energetic realm, which is really what we were put here to do.
Right. And you do it so masterfully also. I remember the first time that you're on the show and you led us through the 4 directions and those particular processes. And it was so profound for so many people. And while a lot of people have a lot of resonance with the shamanic work in the realm and have an understanding of it, the depth of it, and then to meet someone who carries that energetic and can travel for us and then come back and to translate and then give those tools, that's a gift that every culture has learned to have, but somehow in the Western culture, that's really gone dormant. And thank goodness it's coming back alive through people like you that can share from that history, but also bring in a cosmic and galactic awareness into the mainstream conversations so that we can apply it now and learn how to create with those, again, those energies that are here to help us do that. Now, as we get into this conversation, into the clearing, how is it that you work with people to help them work with the energy and their guides? Because you help people connect with their guides, their angels, other light beings as well. How is it that you bring it in such a tangible way that it becomes so accessible for your clients?
Yeah, thank you. And I really appreciated in the intro when you said that, I really have a linear and sort of almost earthly way of taking this very esoteric knowledge and making it actionable in the here and now. And I'm a warrior archetype, and I work with the soul archetypes. I think many of our listeners here have taken the soul archetype quiz that I have. And as a warrior, that's something that I'm just really gifted at doing, taking this like very sort of spiritual, esoteric, energetic information and bringing it right here into the physical where we can actually work with it on the earthly plane. And one of the key distinctions is that I'm not special. Every single person who is here and incarnate on the earthly plane is a spiritual being having an earthly experience. And we were meant to powerfully be able to work with these energies. Life wasn't meant to be hard. And as we start to awaken to that remembering, then we start to remember like all of the things that we learned in the mystery schools throughout the ages. So I really consider myself something of just a waker upper, like, hey, you already know how to do this. Let me remind you what you already know. And I do that through a series of courses that I offer. I call it Lightworker Academy. And the very first course in this series is called the Medicine Wheel Manifestation Program. And it teaches exactly how to work with these in a very linear way so that we are working with, nature and shamanic allies and elementals to kind of do the work for us, so that we're not having to be so effortful in the physical realm, but rather we can make small adjustments in the energetic realm that have really huge impact in the physical.
What are some ways that we can do that? Like if someone in the audience listens, like, okay, this sounds fantastic. What's a tool that you can give us, or give us an example of how you've done that for clients that you work with and the impact?
Yeah. So I think, okay, I mean, there's so many examples, but let's take spirit animals as an example. Most people here are definitely familiar with spirit animals, right? So I think even before we go into that, though, I want to back up quickly and let you know the true origins of shamanism. Because I think once we remember that, then like spirit animals takes on a whole new context, right? So shamanism was actually star-seeded by the Pleiadians. And so when an Earth was star-seeded, right? A lot of us are familiar with Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis and the fall of Lemuria. And so what happened when those civilizations fell and so many of us sort of signed up to forget, we were like, okay, we know that now we're going to kind of enter a dark age for a really long time. It's going to be very ego masculine. What happened in those moments was that we were signing up to forget, but we knew that spirit wasn't going to abandon us, and that at the perfectly right time, we were going to wake up into our remembering. And so shamanism was star-seeded as a way for us to find our way back to ourselves as divine spiritual beings, as who we really are, as these incredible spiritual beings who chose to come here and incarnate on the earth plane to learn these incredible, lessons and sort of wake up on behalf of all of the universe. So when I say that it was star-seeded, it was sort of, shamanism was like spiritual breadcrumbs that were left for us to kind of like Hansel and Gretel come back to our knowing of who we really are and what we came here to do. So the main way that that gets conveyed to us here on the earthly plane is through nature. So nature, everything in nature is a face of spirit. And everything in nature embodies a quality of spirit. And it was put here for us to not only remember, but also to use and to leverage so that we can be not just more like spirit, but really be spirit ourselves. And so, like, for example, John, you live by the ocean, the water. What does water represent? Cleansing, right? It's a powerful cleanser. Or for example, fire, right, is incredible at alchemizing and converting and transmuting. So when we talk about spirit animals, it's not just like a cute thing that's, now this pop culture thing. Spirit animals, every animal in nature embodies another representation of spirit. So a lot of times the way that our allies and our elementals and our guides and our angels will let us know that they're working with us is like, we'll see them multiple times. For example, you'll see like crows like 3 times in 3 days, or you'll dream of a crow. Dreams are another really powerful way. Or you'll have an unusual animal sighting, like perhaps a dead crow on the side of the road, but then there's feathers there for you to pick up. Okay, clearly crow wants to work with me. So it's not just as simple as saying, okay, I'm going to Google what the symbolism of crow is. There's an actual art to working with, for example, spirit animals. And so, for example, in your morning practice, what you can do is there's sort of a 4-step process. The first step is to acknowledge crow for its medicine. So you may say, Crow, thank you so much for your ability to see beyond the veil, for the depth of magic that you bring to our lives, and for the ceremony that's in everything, right? Now, I happen to know that's the medicine of crow, and that's the medicine of crow for me. And every animal will speak to people differently. Certainly Google's a great place to start, but it doesn't end there, because if we really drop in, everything we come across has its own message for us, its own medicine. So the first step, though, is to just acknowledge it and say, wow, you're really powerful and amazing. They like to be complimented, allies. And then the next step is to actually give them a job. Allies, whether they're spirit animals or elementals like a tree, or, Mother Mary or an ascended master or light beings or spirit guides, they love to be put to work. So then the next step would be, Crow, help me see beyond the veil. Help me see past what seems to be right in front of me into the true knowledge of what's really there for me to know. And after you give them a job, so you've complimented them, you've given them a job, the final step would be to thank them. Thank you, Crow, so much for doing this work for me. I really, really appreciate you. Aho. And then the fourth step is to actually let it go. So then I'm going to hand Crow back over. I'm going to let Crow do its job. And there I have effectively created something energetically that I didn't have to do anything other than ask my ally to do it for me. And then Crow goes off and does it. So that's one way that we can actually work with energy. And of course, there's a million more that I can go through.
And you go through them quite well. So that, again, the tools you have at your arsenal is amazing. So as we get into this, there's that part of the awareness that comes in and learning how to read the signs. And again, you bring awareness that through your courses and all the talks that you give. You're so fantastic at it. How is it that you work with people so that they can actually start pulling not only from their consciousness, but also from their intuition and their higher self, so that they can have that reliability of the guidance as it's potentially showing up?
Yeah, I think it's really important to sort of hit the right brain and the left brain together. So I use teachings that really gets to the left brain, because the mind wants to be able to make sense of this in some way. So I use teachings. I also use processes. And so, for example, I will give people shamanic processes like stick breaking, where you will take a stick and you'll actually rub it all over your body energetically. And the stick will kind of clean you up. It takes all that sort of yucky, old, negative, and I don't say bad, it's not evil, but just the stuff that doesn't serve us. We'll kind of clean it up. And then you can break the stick and it will literally break the pattern. So that's one example of a process that someone can do. And then I also use what's called energy tutorials, where I literally teach people how to work with energy through these energy tutorials, so they're the ones doing it themselves. And then finally, I also use something I call soul work, where we kind of take everything that I've just instructed and then integrate it into their own spiritual practice. So it goes, left brain, right brain, it's your understanding, but then you're also doing, and then you're assimilating into, your knowing and like the awakening process. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And again, all these tools they're there to heal us,
right,
to cleanse us, to energetically align us with a clearer path to that intuition, to that guidance, because it's all these distractions that keep us in these loops that really just detract us from that source connection. And we really do have access to it. But again, using these tools, it helps to clarify and to put us in a clearer broadcast. I guess it's the best way for me to put it.
Yeah. And you just said something that sparked something for me, which is on the topic of intuition. Like, how do I teach someone how to actually access their intuition? And something I love to say is spirit isn't trying to mess with us. Okay. Like, it really gets to be easy. And the clearest way that spirit can speak to us is through the desires of our heart. And so it's truly what we want that is our intuition. It's that simple. If we want it, if it's a 10 on our joy meter, if it makes us feel expansive and alive, that's for us. That is our next inspired action. If it makes us feel like a should, a must, a have to, dead, constrictive, wah, wah, 0 on our joy meter, not for us. Like intuition is that simple. We all have this joy meter and this ability to follow this in every moment.
I'm glad you bring this up because I think there has been a process of going away from, as we've been integrating and embodying, our brain's been trying to assimilate to how we can function in a new way, even if we were very heart-based. And we've gone a little more mental, not in a bad way, but really to get clear mentally on what we had access to. And I think we've gone through a phase, a season of that, probably in the last year, year and a half, of allowing the mind to catch up. But I think it also came at the cost of forgetting, or not the cost of, but perhaps because we're so busy up there that we forgot that it really leads from here, from the heart. And so anything not only that we ask for and hope to create and emanate from the heart, but truly, Steffi, it's anything and everything that we do to make sure that it emanates here before we express that word, before we take the next step, before we ask for something, before we receive. It's where's that heart resonance in the process. And while we may have stepped away from it a little bit, perhaps, and maybe we've glimpsed it at times, I really feel that there's a calling back to, for me, it was a calling back from personal development back into spirituality, because it felt like for a long time, it's like, oh, we're not being spiritual, we're in personal development right now, which of course is spiritual also. But there's a higher calling now as we've integrated. It's like, remember the heart, let it ignite. It's more powerful than it ever was before. So even these solar flares and cosmic events happening, I think are a fractal of what's happening inside of us and the power of what we can emanate with that energy. I wonder what your thoughts are about that.
No, absolutely. And, you know, the mind has a place, and the place that the mind has is in once the heart really receives what its knowing is, then the mind can help us to actually execute that in the world. So it's, I think it's just like, I think where we're coming is this really beautiful masculine, feminine balance, which to me is the left brain, right brain, the heart and the mind. It's not, you know, one isn't better than the other. We need both of them. And the feminine sort of comes first, and then the masculine is like, got it. Allow me to birth that, or allow me to bring that forth for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that you work with people, which I find so fascinating, because many talk about it, but to anchor it into a whole different thing. And it can be such an elusive thing to land on, or so esoteric that how do we really know? But you help people really align to discover what their soul purpose is. Tell us more about that and how you work with people to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing is that for so long, so many of us have been creating for joy. Okay. So it's like, why do we even want our soul purpose? We want our soul purpose because we believe that it's going to bring us joy. But there's something off there, because now right inside of that, we're attached to an outcome. When we're saying, I need to know my soul purpose in order to be happy, fulfilled, whatever. The key is, what spirit really wants us to know is, we have the power to create from joy in any moment. So the paradox is, we create from joy. And then when we create from joy, there's nothing we need other than what's already inside, because we already have it. We're creating from joy. So one of the first things that I teach my students is how to tap into what is that felt sense of what they think their soul purpose is going to give them, and to give that to themselves right now. I mean, and in fact, it's something we can do right now. Like, you can even take a minute right now, turn the analyzer off in the head like a light switch, and drop into the heart. And I like to feel like the heart is a rose, right? So when it's tight and constricted like a little bud, that's a no. But right now we're going to allow it to kind of bloom and blossom open, and feel even just right now, feel into, all right, so here we are. And I'd like, just to imagine for a second, you're on your soul purpose. You wake up in the morning, you feel excited, expectant. You're co-creating magic with the universe. Miracles are unfolding. Synchronicities and partnerships are there for you. You're making a meaningful difference and you're leveraging right use of your gifts and your talents. You actually know what they are. You're in touch with them. How good does that feel? Right now, it feels good just to think about it. Thinking about being on purpose feels what? Warm, expansive, alive, connected, magical. And so, one of the biggest ways that we can be on purpose and start to discover our purpose is to cultivate that feeling like every single morning. I call it cultivating the felt sense. And when we do that, we already are on purpose. And now what happens is the universe is bringing to us energetic matches to that. And the universe is going, oh, okay, got it. That's what your energetic set point is. Allow me to give you this. And so we'll get this next inspired action. And we just take that action, just that one, with no attachment to the outcome. And from there, we get given another inspired action and then another inspired action. And before we know it, we are on purpose. That is the exact process I used to become the healer I am today. And this brand of urban shamanism, which really allows, everybody to find their inner shaman, was birthed using that exact process. So we're not going to get given, like, this is really important to name. We're not going to get given our next 10,000 steps and the entire business plan of how this works and how this doesn't work. And we're just going to be given our one next inspired action. But when it comes from here, you can be guaranteed it's on purpose. And then the unfolding begins.
Steffi, sometimes it's so hard to find what's coming from here because there's all these other distortions, whether they're emotions, what we're feeling collectively, the circumstances that are in our life. That how do you help people to land on that more? Because really, if I ask 10 people right now what makes them happy, 8 out of 10 would have to pause to really think about it and come up with some things that would kind of fill in the gap, but not really sure if that was it.
Yeah, I think that it's exactly, you're nailing it. And the point is that there's no happiness out here. There isn't any. So we cultivate that. We have the power in any moment to create the felt sense inside of ourselves of, and all we need to do to create that is to visualize what we think we might want, even if it's just to say, I just want to feel on purpose. Okay. I just want to feel happy. Well, what does happy feel like? It feels warm. It feels expansive. And it's beyond words. It's a felt sense. So do you see how you kind of can get out of the mind about what makes me happy? And all of a sudden it's just right here. And then we just take that same sort of joy lever. And so we're presented with a choice. Well, which choice makes me feel expansive? Which choice makes me feel alive? Even if it's irrational. And I think this is a big, important thing to name because we let fear make us think that it's not the right choice for us. And then we go over here into the realm of dead shoulds, must, have tos because it feels safe. And this is where our own spirituality can really bite us in the ass because we start to feel like, well, if it doesn't feel flowy, if I'm feeling afraid, it must not be right. I'm not ready. But that's not true. Spirit is saying, hey, are you ready to expand out of your comfort zone? Well, how does that feel when we expand out of our comfort zone?
Not comfortable. Yeah.
Right. Totally. So that doesn't make it wrong. But if is it alive? Is it expansive? Then that's the choice. And you take that one and you'll find that the more you just create from that space of that felt sense, and then you just take the next inspired action, which is always going to be the expansive, even if it's scary choice, then you're going to get the next, then you'll take the next one and the next one. And then before you know it, you're living the most authentic life you've ever lived. And you are happy.
Right. It's funny because when we start looking at the things that make us happy, waking up, okay, what are those thoughts? What's that joy meter? Where does it come from? Typically, we're taught to make it circumstantial. Well, if this happens, then I'll be happy. If this occurs, I'll be happy. And it doesn't stem from that. And again, I'm reiterating what you're saying in a whole different way. but it's really finding what does the feeling of happiness feel like, rather than if my daughter calls me today, then I'll be happy. Or
Right.
I talked to her today, oh my God, I'm elated. It's like, no,
Right.
what was the feeling that got created when she called you, even if she didn't call you?
That's it.
Imagine that, right?
That's it. And
Yeah,
that actually programs the quantum field to
right.
bring you the energetic matches to those feelings. And then it's on you to trust, all right, I'm going to go with joy, taking that step, even if it's scary. And then, and it builds and it expands and it sort of, what's the word where it just like, it all extrapolates on itself and it just gets really, really, really big. And it gets really fun too. And then can I give the listeners one last hint about soul purpose?
Of course.
This is one last little hint. Okay, so that thing, well, and I can only speak for myself. I had a thing. I was in corporate America and I like sort of, in my journal would write, because I wouldn't tell anyone because I was too embarrassed. Like, I think I'm meant to be a healer. I think I'm meant to work with energy. I'm pretty sure I've done this for lifetimes and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, even though I have no idea how I'd make money at it. And it all sounds completely bananas. And my father would probably be like, I paid 4 years for you to go to school for what? Right? Like, so whatever that thing is, that thing inside of your heart that you're like, I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing, but that sounds completely crazy. What opening a store or becoming an interior designer, whatever it is, that thing, that's your thing. Mm-hmm. You've been training lifetimes for it, and that's absolutely your soul purpose. And then a lot of the work is, how do we confront the fear dragons that are trying to keep you stuck and small so that you can look them in the eye, give them a wink, give them a smile, and then do the thing anyway. And that's really the key to soul purpose work.
I love it. I love it. I know you talked about a few processes that might have been available, but there's the one that really resonated for me.
Yeah.
Talking about, I think that would be so appropriate right now. Can we get into that?
Yeah, it's called the karmic integration process.
Yeah.
And this is so good because one of the things I promised the listeners today is to teach how we can clear our own energy, right? Because we have energetic blockages that are subconscious inside us that are dictating our lives. And no matter how clear we might finally get, yeah, this is what I want. I'm a healer. This is it. I know it. I've looked the fear dragon in the face. I know that's what I'm here to do. No matter how clear we might think we are, if we don't address these energetic blockages that are sort of these traumas that have been, buried in our energy bodies, we are going to be consistently sabotaging our own efforts without even realizing it. Mm-hmm. So, one of the most important things to do is to do what I call the karmic integration process. Okay, and I see a great question here, and I'm just going to address it really quickly because I see this come in. How do you conquer the fear that is keeping a person from growing? You literally just asked the question about that this process will address, okay? So let's say, for example, I am out to eat with my dad, and my dad says something that makes me feel, this is not related to my dad at all, by the way, just to give you guys an example. Says something that makes me feel small. Okay. Well, this is a present moment trigger in my life that can go one of two ways. It can either go into the realm of forgetting, where we are living in the drama of this virtual reality plane called Earth, and we're completely lost in the illusion. Or I can use that for what it is, which is actually a message from spirit that's saying, hey, Stephanie, you have a stuck energy blockage inside of you, and this is how I'm reminding you that it's there. It's time to do the karmic integration process. So what this would look like if I was going this way would be, my dad is such a jerk. I never feel like I'm enough with him. Oh my God, I can't believe he said that to me. And right? Nothing's getting resolved. And now I'm probably going to yell at my dad and it's going to get ugly and the whole thing, right? Or I can do this karmic integration process. So the cue right there is any moment you feel any sense of discomfort, like something has got you from the physical realm, this is the process. So I'm going to invite the listeners now to actually walk through this process with me, if that's okay, John.
Absolutely.
Okay, so everybody just come up with something in your life that's just got you by the goat a little bit. It can be anything, you know, your finances, a relationship, something someone said to you, anything that's just got you feeling anything less than the powerful, beautiful, spiritual being you are. And call that situation to mind. So the first thing I'm going to invite you to do is drop the story. The story is what the mind makes up that keeps that feeling in place and going on in perpetuity. We're going to drop the story. That's step one. Step two is to recognize that there is a fear dragon at play. So right here, I'm going to drop the story that my dad is, you know, out to get me. And I'm going to say, oh, this has triggered a fear I have inside myself. Probably a inadequacy fear, right? Step three is to feel where you feel it in the body. So everybody take a moment now and feel this discomfort that you thought was in your head is actually coming from the body. Where do you feel it? In the heart, in the stomach, the throat, the shoulders. It can be anywhere. Wherever it is, know that this is very, very old. This is not the first time you felt this feeling. This is actually very familiar. And it dates back to your childhood between the ages of 0 and 7 years old, pre-verbal. And that dates back to past lifetimes where the original wounding happened. And you are such a powerful spiritual being. You chose to incarnate in this lifetime, right here, right now, to integrate this karmic wound. That's what you're feeling. And there's nothing wrong here. It's just a stuck energy because when it happened initially, you didn't have the tools to process it. So you did the best you knew how, and you sort of encapsulated it in your energy body, and there it stays, attracting like situations to it over and over and over and over again. But really, it's medicine because this is what allows you to see it's there. So now that you've felt and you feel where it is in the body, you're going to take a few moments and you're just going to breathe into it. Give it space, give it breath, and allow it. Allow it, allow it. There's nothing wrong here. This is just stuck energy. Yeah, maybe it feels a little uncomfortable, but there's no problem. You can handle this. This is just, in fact, what if you gave it a little compassion, acceptance, allowing, like, hey, you can come out now. And you allow this thing that's been hiding in the shadow to see the light. And all it needs is 90 seconds of this space and breath to be the energy and motion, the emotion that needs to roll through you. And then once you've completed that step, now you're going to inquire to your inner child, what does he or she need to hear that they didn't hear when this happened in childhood? You now get to be the parent to your own inner child and tell that little boy or girl exactly what they need to hear. And this depends. So in this example, perhaps my little girl needs to hear, you're precious, you're cherished, you're adored. You haven't done anything wrong. I love you unconditionally, and I'm so proud of you. Come out of the closet now. It's okay. So you only know what your child needs to hear. This is your opportunity to let them know. And then the next step is to celebrate. Thank you, Dad, for saying what you said, for allowing me to see that there was this inside of me that needed to be seen and loved and acknowledged by me, by my higher self, by the spirit that I am. So, Dad, I give you your power back and I take mine back. And I know that in this moment, I have integrated something very old and very deep. And even if I don't feel 100% better in this moment, and even if you don't, remember, it's not about feeling better. It's about getting better at feeling. And remember that there's nothing wrong here. It's okay if you feel this way. It's okay if you don't. So what does that level of neutrality really feel like when you're not afraid of your own emotions? That's a celebration. And so now the next step is to call in an ally. So an ally, like we were talking about before, this can be an ancestor, a spirit guide, an angel, an archangel, ascended master, a spirit animal, an elemental. So in this case, I might call in Mother Earth and say, Mother Earth, hold me while I hold my little girl. Help me know how precious and cherished and powerful I am while I take care of my little girl. And now I'm going to hand it over. So I invite you too. What ally is coming to you? What are you feeling called to call in here? To hold you, to take care of you, to raise your vibration. And remember, you're not trying to get rid of anything here. We're not trying to release anything, because right inside of that, the need to release is also resistance. So in this moment, we just come back and we hand it over. We give it to our ally. This is a great example of where we can say, ally, take care of this for us. And the ally will. And then we're just going to do the next right action. So this might be take a nap, go for a walk, take a shower, read a book. And knowing that when we get this neutral with our own feelings, the next inspired action will come through that has us on purpose and is going to give, for example, in this example, the perfect next step for me in working with this relationship with my dad so that it feels really, really good. And I'm not just reacting in anger, but I'm responding in a way that actually energetically completes karma and any soul contract that we have here, so that I can be clean and clear and powerful to manifest my soul purpose as a healer, no matter what my dad thinks. So coming back to that question on the chat, that's one way to work with the fears that come up so that we can then still be powerful and say, I have everything I need. I don't need anything from anybody else. And this is how you can work with it so that you feel really powerful to take that next inspired action.
Beautiful. Alicia wrote, this exercise made her cry. I had a feeling some of y'all were going to go there. This is so beautiful. Steffi, I think I want to get into Q&A so people can also get into a feel of how you process. So if y'all have personal questions, raise your hand or type some questions into the chat box, and we'll get into some of these other topics that I want to dive deeper into as well. So as I promote you to a panelist, turn your screen on. We'd love to see you. And also learn where your mute and unmute button is, please, so that when I do call on you, it's just super easy for us to transition into the questions. So that's coming up here in just a second as people are starting to come up as panelists. And let's go to first person that popped up. Valerie, welcome to the call. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, now my camera went off. Hold on there. Now we're. Oh, thank you. Stephanie, hi. I have a question about the intuition thing. I feel like things are coming through and they are joyous things that come through and just help me sail through the day. They're very quiet, but I'm finally listening to them and hearing them. But then at the same time, when I do listen to them, it's the weirdest thing. I feel like something almost like presses on my energy field, like I'm being blocked. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's coming from outside, if it's fear within me. I don't know. It's the weirdest feeling.
So tell me a little bit more how this presents for you. So like, give me an example. like
Well,
concrete?
sometimes it feels like there's a pressure at right here at my third eye. Sometimes I hear a buzzing and I feel like I'm going to hear something. And then I feel like there's a pressing on me or a pressing in my energy field. I cannot, it's hard to put into words. It's like I'm being blocked outside of me, not inside.
Interesting, interesting. So, I mean, there's a couple things that could be at play here. And I think that part of the beauty of intuition is that you do at some level know exactly what this is.
I do.
So I'm going to give you some ideas and feel into that feels right, or and let's see where your intuition comes into play here. And one of the first tools I'll give you is one of my favorite ways to work with energy is before I go to bed at night, saying a prayer to spirit that says, "Give me a clear sign. Tell me uncategorically what I need to know about this situation," and then going to sleep. And you will often be gifted knowing in your dreams or in the period between sleep wake or throughout the course of your subsequent days, something will come to you and it'll make it clear, that's what this is. But my first thought was, well, maybe I don't know that it's like you're getting blocked. I almost wonder if these are new energetic muscles that are getting used, especially when you're talking about like the third eye. It's like, yeah, you're going to feel some pressure. You haven't done that before, right? So it's like, oh gosh, like the upgrades are happening. There can be a physical sensation. So what if it's not wrong? What if it's actually part of the process for you? The second thing that came in is certainly that it's possible that there's some lower energies that are interfering, but you are sovereign, sister. You are senior over your space. So it's as simple as just dropping a grounding cord down into Mother Earth and invoking your aura, feel your aura around you, fill it up with divine light from the city of light, take an energy shower, a nice light shower, and just allow it to just kind of rinse anything that needs to go down that grounding cord. Think of it like a drain, because Mama Earth is so good at receiving, neutralizing, recycling, and transmuting energies and returning them back to their place of origin even better than before. And then invoke this invocation in the name of the I am that I am, and in accordance with my seniority, I hereby command all foreign energies leave now.
Ooh, you gave me chills on that one.
And fill up again with divine light from the city of light. They can't mess with you. And if that's what this is, right? It's just as easy as saying, I am uneffable. Like you're sovereign. So feel into either of those as possibilities. Did either of those strike a chord with you? Strike resonance?
Yes, I think that's great. It makes me feel more like this is, again, like you said, new energies, calm down, relax into it. If you don't feel relaxed, claim your space, push it away, and then ask for assistance before you go to sleep and see what comes in the morning.
Yes, absolutely. And
Okay.
you can also call in some allies to help you as well. Crow is a great one.
That's me, Crow.
Crow came in for you, Valerie, on this call.
Yeah,
yes.
Crow.
Yeah.
Valerie, thank you so much for calling in.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
And Steffi, you tapped into something that's really important also, and I've talked about this in community and felt it personally, where there is a changing of a guard, if you will, with our spiritual allies and our guides as we evolve. Even if our guides are evolving with us, we may not recognize them in the way that we used to, or maybe there's a switching of those guides also to help facilitate this next passage that you're on. And in that void space, it could make us feel like we've come down into a reality that we had left before, but it's really an acclimation period, really, of what we're embodying, what we're representing, and then we're reconnecting to that vibrational intelligence that now we have even more access to in a different way, in an expanded way, for our growth, not for our comfort. Because if you think you came to Earth to be comfortable, guess what? You're not supposed to be stagnant and bored and in inertia. And comfort, there's discomfort in love and joy as much as there's discomfort in fear and pain. And so to know that either one of those can rock our hearts in ways that our heart hasn't experienced before, it's a beautiful awareness to have as you call in and acclimate to these tools that you're saying yes to as they're coming in you. And as you recognize some of the old ones, like Steffi said, and you say, hell no. And you really progress forward. So it's beautiful. I love the way you described it, but I really had to address the changing or the up leveling of that guidance that's happening for all of us in so many different levels. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so wonderful. All right, let's go to our next caller. Danielle, let's go to you now. Hi, and welcome. And let's get you to unmute, please.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hi,
We can hear
everybody.
you great. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I guess I just was calling in for advice. I've been trying to ascend for many years. I feel now through Corona and listening to your show and other shows, and I've been using seashells lately to heal my chakras. And just to let everybody know, I can't live without my seashell chakra healing every day.
That's
Because if
awesome.
I can't hear the ocean, I know I'm not really, my chakras aren't really listening or in tune. I just feel like there's so much to listen to lately. I haven't been watching the TV, and my TV just broke. So I was like, okay, I'm having a great time not watching the news or anything lately. I wanted to know if you had any advice. I feel like I've been, first off, a disciple of Jesus since maybe one of his followers when he was alive. And I'm trying to bring in my life, I want to make a children's series with the angels and Jesus, and I want to bring it to children so they understand about Jesus and about his love and about his peace and about everything that comes along with, accepting Jesus in your heart, and the angelic realm as well. Like, I feel like it's all help for us. That's why I also use the seashells. And one last thing is I also think of the rhythm of the whales, the way that they emit their beautiful beauty into the ocean. I try to absorb that and pretend that I'm in that. And I think that's been helping me a lot too.
So what's your question, Danielle? Yeah.
So I have a lot of things that I believe in, different angles, but I wanted to know maybe if you guys could hone in on something that I'm maybe missing, because I'm just a student and I love knowledge. And if you have any direction, because I feel like I'm doing it, but any advice would be wonderful.
Yeah, what's coming through for me for you is that you have been training lifetimes for this. And
Right.
I think we sometimes get in this space where we think we have to master our medicine before we pour it. And the truth is we master our medicine as we pour it. So one of the most important things to remember is your interest in it means that it is yours to share. Okay, that's how spirit speaks. So now that you know, yes, this is exactly what you're meant to do. Yes. Books for children on Jesus and the angels. Yes. And using seashells and how kids can work with magic and elementals and allies themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect. And so now it's just a matter of what's the one next inspired action. And so that's one way to feel into, okay, where do I go from here? When the one next inspired action related to that project. And then the other way to look at it is, what's the one fear that's getting in the way of the next inspired action? And can you run the karmic integration process on that fear so that you can get clear and neutral enough to take the next inspired action?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I feel like I have so much fear just from everyday life that I'm trying to block out. And I'm like, I don't want to hear any more else fear on TV or anything. I just want to deal with, I've been trying to forgive my karma past and forward so I can just deal with right now. And I'm learning how to do that. So I think that's really what I want to do is I need to know what my next step in writing these children books, because for years I've been thinking about it and songs that go with it and rhymes that go with it, like a Dr. Seuss thing. And I hate that Dr. Seuss is blacklisted because I absolutely love him and I want to write books like him. So something like that.
So you know what your next step is to write. It's
Just
literally to take an hour a day and write. And you do that no matter what. And when the fear dragon tries to tell you, Danielle, who do you think you are to do this? This is never going to make money. This is never going to be successful. No one's going to understand you. That's the fear dragon. And you wink at it and you smile at it and you sit down and write anyway. And when you write for an hour or whatever your, your timeline is, and you do that every day, and you show up for yourself no matter what. And then this is a really big key for everyone. You release attachment to the outcome. It is not up to you what you've produced, how it impacts the world. That's spirit's job. You just show up, do the work you were called to do, and you finish and you hand it back over. And then you show up again. And before you know it, you will have your first children's book, and then you'll be led into your next inspired action for finding a publisher, and on and on. Just sit down and write. Do it. Like, we're going to get off this call in a little bit. Do it. Start today.
I love writing. I absolutely love writing. And I haven't done it in years. So
there you go.
Thank you so
There's
Thank you for the work
That's
you're
what I
doing,
needed.
Danielle.
Thank you. That's what I was missing. I knew I was missing something, and I do love to write. So thank you.
That's fantastic. One thing that I'd suggest for you, Danielle, also is come back and listen to the replay, and this part in particular, and listen to yourself, because you keep talking about, I believe this and I believe that. It's like you're trying to recruit us into believing with you. What if nobody believes you, but you know that it's true? What if it's okay if nobody believes you? And it's hard for us because we want everybody to believe what we believe. But if I waited to start the show thinking that everybody's going to believe in psychic abilities and channels and ascending and all that, I never would have done it, because you know how many people don't believe this?
Yeah, I
A
do.
lot, a lot.
I'm up against it too every day.
Right? But if it's burning in your soul, you won't be able but to write it. It won't help but to come through. But to give you a shortcut, start changing. I believe it's like, this is what I know for myself. This is what I know to be true for myself. And start writing and taking action from that knowing place, rather than trying to indoctrinate people into believing something in the hope to be received. Because not everybody's going to receive you, and they're not supposed to, because they're on their own journey.
Yeah.
But you get to receive you.
Thank you.
And
I'm working on that.
children. Yeah. No, don't work on it. Just own it right now. It's not a work thing. It's an ownership.
Right. I'm working on being, like the human being. I'm not sure if you said that one time. Human being, we get be, we have to just be. So giving up with the corona, I felt like we all had to just be, like, planted, be, and learn how to be, and just, breathe again. Like, we just have to, that's what I'm learning how to do. I don't have to do everything. I just have to learn how to be quiet.
If I gave you the keys to the Ferrari, and the Ferrari was outside in your garage, did you think, no, I can't drive it until I earn it, until I work for it? No, you'd go start it and take off. Take the Ferrari that's been gifted to you, and then do some great things with it.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, Danielle. Oh my God, this is so good. I want to get into more Q&A, and I want to get into our special offering, just in case anybody needs to jump off soon, because to go deeper with Steffi and these processes and tools and the transmission, Danielle, as you're feeling, is so the transmission that Steffi carries. It's like, you can do this and you're gonna do it. It's addictive. It's contagious. So Steffi offers this and so much more. So everybody, the link for the special offer is in the chat box. Click on the chat box at the bottom of your screen, and you'll find that April typed it in there. You can also get to the special offer by typing into your web browser, beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Steffie, STEFFIE 25. It'll take you to that same special offer page. And Steffi, guide us through what those that participate in your special offer, hopefully everybody on this call and on the replay, will receive.
Honored. I'd be honored. Thank you. So as we've been talking about, nature holds everything that we need, and we're able to call on everything in nature to become more powerful. And one of the most powerful things in nature that we can call on is the 4 directions. So the 4 directions make up the shamanic medicine wheel, and they are designed such that we can take their medicine, and at each phase of the direction, we are able to birth whatever we want to birth, and we're able to remove and release anything that's standing in our way, get really clear on what it is we want to birth, and then take that next inspired action. And, Danielle just reminded me that one of the biggest keys is simply to create for the sake of creating. Nothing more, nothing less. We simply create for the sake of creating, because that's what we're inspired to do. And so what this program does is it teaches you how to know what you're inspired to create and to actually create it. And so what it includes is it's an 8-week program. We spend 2 weeks in each direction. So we spend 2 weeks in the east, then the south, the west, and the north. I teach you everything you need to know about the medicine wheel in each direction, how to leverage the medicine of the direction so that you are able to put it to work for you, and lots of other tools around creating from joy instead of for joy, imprinting the quantum field, connecting to our particular sort of outlet in the Earth's aura so that we can start channeling energy down and clearing obstacles, calling in what we want to call in, and making our way really easy and effortless. So essentially, each module includes teachings, it includes soul process work, it includes shamanic practices and energy tutorials that build week over week until by the end of the 8 weeks, you have healed yourself, you've become clear on what you want to create, and you've been given the power to call that in and co-create it with the universe easily and effortlessly. And I also include a Facebook group so that you can ask your questions of me 24/7, and it's a private Facebook group. And then also included is I have six shamanic healings included in there. There's a kickoff blessing shamanic healing ceremony that allows you to get really clear on your intention so that you start to lay the energetic groundwork and foundation for what you want the program to do for you. And then a healing to go with each of the directions so that we can powerfully call those directions in together. And then a final completion call, because one of the most important things to do to be energetically powerful and shored up is to complete things really, really well so that you know your next inspired action.
Fantastic course that you put together here. And I love working with the elements, but again, they're so powerful and they really guide us in ways that when working with that medicine wheel, again, create that cyclical nature of beginning and ending, and then it starts all over again. But how it keeps up leveling. So for me, it's almost like a spiral dynamic that happens.
Absolutely. I love the spiral. You got it.
Yeah, as we work with this. So y'all, again, the 4 modules, the bonuses, the Facebook group is all in here. And I want to go through these modules again, because to give a little more context. So the East is about ditching stress, overwhelm, effort, and struggle for peace, flow, ease, and centeredness. So it shows you how to work with the East to move through and transcend chaos. The South, badass boundaries, as Steffi calls it, I love it. I'll teach you how to create rock solid energetic protection that makes you feel safe. So you get to energetically call in support and release energy leaks and heal and integrate all the karmic wounds all in for once. The West, getting crystal clear that here you learn how to tune in to that receiver to hear and declare exactly what your spirit really desires. So this is powerful. And then the North, energizing it. And that's easily receive and take the next inspired action on your hero's journey. You draw in magic, the miracles, the synchronicities, and the creation takes place. And so this is fantastic work. And again, the way that Steffi teaches it with the applications, the examples, the energetic transmission, and the different tools for you to work with on a consistent basis, you can't help but to create change by following this type of alchemy that takes place, that we do organically through nature, that we even do through our breathing. But we forget that that's a fractal for how we get to create in our own lives. And as human beings, we're fortunate that we have the power of manifestation like no other creature does. So it's a wonderful program. I highly encourage you to take part of it. It's $97, 2 payment option if you choose to break it down in 2 payments. And there's a 100% 30-day money back guarantee. So there's nothing to lose by trying it. If it doesn't resonate or doesn't work for you, if you're not getting anything out of it, just send us an email and no questions asked, refund within 30 days. But I'm sure you'll love it. And again, that's why I present it here, or else it wouldn't be part of the show. But I do hope you take advantage of it. And again, just click on the buy now link. The link for the special offer is in the chat box. Or again, you can find it by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Steffie25. Steffi, with that, I want to thank you for offering that special offer. And I want to dive into a little more Q&A if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. And just a quick note, and I want to name this because a lot of my community is here as well. I was not planning to offer this for another year. And I created this particular version for BTO specifically and specially because it was just such a success last year and people got so much out of it. So just really wanted to name that it really wasn't supposed to be something that was available till another year, but your show brought it out in me as the next inspired action. And
I love it. I love that we can inspire that. We're ready for it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So Steffi, we had someone that wrote in a little bit earlier talking about emotions, and what they're asking is, what if we can't access all of the emotions that moment made us feel because we suppressed it for so long? So in creating and getting into that state of joy that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. So using the karmic integration process, this is not a one and done. Remember, we've got layers and layers and layers, and the work isn't done until we ascend right out of here. So be gentle with yourselves and know that simply by giving it the attention, you are in process. You are doing the work. And then the next thing will come along and remind you, okay, here's this next layer. And then you'll do it on that. And it's just one layer at a time. And remember also that we're not trying to do anything, because in the nature of trying, there's this resistance, there's, we're actually not giving it the acceptance that it really wants. So there's no right or wrong. You can't do it right. You can't do it wrong. It just is. And so every time you bring attention, you're sort of integrating a little bit more and a little bit more. So whatever comes through for you in that moment is exactly what was meant to be integrated. And there's not like, oh, I got to get deeper. I have to excavate more. There's none of that. It doesn't have to be hard. What if it gets to be easy and exactly what was meant to be seen, loved, felt, witnessed, and integrated in that moment, it is done until the next one comes along to give us the message of what else is there for us to see.
I love that. And to go deeper into it also, and again, you're talking about this, but I want to expand upon it. Okay, so we can't touch into emotion of joy. We can't recall an emotion of being happy. It's not coming up for whatever reason. What does that bring up in our emotions? Is there sadness? Is there frustration? Is there anger? And what if it was okay to feel those things as an impetus to begin to feel again? Because a lot of times when we're in that apathetic space, we can't direct them one way or another because there's something that wants to be expressed or hasn't been expressed, that when we give it permission to, allows a flow to begin to occur that wasn't there before. So, wow, I can't find my joy. That makes me really sad.
Yeah.
Or that really pisses me off. And what if we allow ourselves that, right?
Yeah. You bring up a great point, and I think I missed the question was really more about that first process we did about creating from joy instead of for joy. So I apologize that I misunderstood the question. And that's such a great point, John. So if we're like feeling into something and we just want this felt sense, we're cultivating a felt sense of joy and something standing in the way, well, that is the perfect thing to do the karmic integration process on. That's right there. There's some work that we get to do. And it's like, what if we don't have to be at peace? What if instead we get to be at peace with the chaos?
Right.
And then it's like, we almost have joy with the fact that we're not in joy.
Yes.
and then if we can't do that, that's okay too. Can we be at peace with the fact that we can't be at peace with the chaos? And somewhere down the ladder, you will find that surrender, that opening that's like, and that is joy. I mean, that you can find it even with it feeling chaotic.
Yeah. Thank
you for bringing that up.
Yeah, one of my biggest liberators is a process that came through organically after I had a session with someone, but it happened afterwards. And it brought me into rage. And like rage just emoting through, and it had to be expressed. And luckily there was no one in the house and I had my space to just do what I needed to do. But the other side of that was so much peace and tranquility, but also the power knowing that I can express that rage and not destroy or kill something, not alienate, not do it for the sake of this unintegrated aspect of myself, the things that I need to destroy in order to get something, but rather because it was bottled up and it was just time. And from that, I gained more access to myself.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And what if there's nothing wrong with rage?
Right. There isn't.
There isn't.
Right.
It's extraordinary. Like
Yeah.
everything's okay.
Mhm.
Even rage. Like what that is true letting go.
Yeah.
It's okay if I feel rageful. It's okay if I don't. That's the ultimate neutrality. That's the ultimate peace with the chaos. So good. So good. So
I love
juicy.
this. I love this. All right, let's go to our next caller. Carol Sullivan, hello. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello.
Hello.
I hope my thunderstorm that's going on doesn't interrupt us.
Good medicine.
Yes, I love it. I love it, love it. It's breaking our heat wave. My joy is definitely being out in nature, especially gardening and things like that. But lately I've been having very unhappy houseplants. And I'm trying to figure out, using my intuition, is this a reflection on my own health? Is this a reflection on the, my water? Is this my subconscious trying to simplify my life? So, I'm coming up with all these different things. So I'm wondering if you can key in on what it might actually be.
Mm-hmm. Have you asked the plants?
Well, I muscle tested and I got that the soil was the problem. So I repotted a bunch of them and they still weren't happy. So I thought maybe my muscle testing wasn't right.
I would consider talking to the plants directly.
Okay.
The plants are powerful allies and they love you and they know you love them. And I would, similar to that process that we used in the beginning of the call, to sit down in front of one of your plants and say, I love you. You're so beautiful. Thank you for all the beauty that you brought into my life. Whatever ways the compliments come, and then asking, what is your message for me? What do I need to know? How can is it about, something I can do to take better care of you or something I can do to take better care of me? And thank you for letting me know what I need to know here. Aho. And then just be open to what comes through. You will get the answer. You'll either get it immediately or you'll get it in perfect divine timing, but you will get the answer. I would cultivate that relationship with them directly and see what comes through for you. Now, here's going to be the big challenge is trusting it, like really trusting it, because oh no, I just made that up. I totally just made, that's not real. Well, no, that's how spirit speaks. That's how our intuition speaks. And of course, the more we do this, the more we start to understand, that's how I get my information. Trust what you receive. Those plants are very powerful allies of yours, and they have all the information you need if you ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's there for you. Carol, I have a series of questions that I don't know if they're relevant or not, but I'll ask anyway, just because I'm guided.
Okay.
How's your nutrition? Are you drinking a lot of water?
I some days are better than others, but I definitely try to drink enough water.
Okay. And how's your nutritional intake? Do you eat consistently? Do you eat healthy? Has that changed over the last couple of months?
Well, when COVID first started, I gained the COVID-19, as we all say. I was eating a lot of junk and things like that, but I've gotten back on track. So I'm not perfect, but I definitely try to eat healthy.
Not perfect is good.
Yeah.
Not perfect is good. Not perfect is good for your plants also. Sometimes as they go through their regrowth as well. I love what Stephanie's sharing in this. And again, a lot of things that happen in our outside world are a reflection of what's happening inside of us. So where can I eat better? Where am I eating too much of the same thing where I require another nutrient? What's the quality of water that I'm drinking? Am I drinking from water bottles that are plastic? Maybe I should get something in glass containers. Just little adjustments.
My questions is I have a well. So, is it my well water? That was one of my muscle testing questions.
Right.
It said I was okay.
Great. So yeah, it's just little things to check on. And again, ask your plants. Those little questions kind of may come up. So I'm asking this also as prompts that these allies of yours may have for you as well. that you'll get answers just like you answered me. It'll be like that. That's what those answers will be like. So trust those. Another reason why I was asking you in this way as a practice. So I was kind of playing the plant's role for you right now.
Got it.
All right.
And you
All
look
right.
like you're growing really well.
All right. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Oh
Thank
my
you,
God.
sir.
So cool. I love playing with you guys.
Absolutely.
Okay, Eileen, let's go to you today. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Eileen.
Today is like, it's such an important day for me because I finished writing this book, and the book was like it was like a diary of what I went through during isolation, and so today is like, it's sort of celebratory, but what's sort of holding, well, I don't even want to phrase it that way. The thing that I call collateral damage is my body. Things still healing in my body that were in stasis at the time. And the main thing is from my waist down, my legs, there's like numbness. And it's disturbing because there's so much that I have plans to do, and I see myself doing it, but the body's like crying, okay, well, what do I do? It's like I'm taking care of a child.
Yeah. So is that your question? What do I do?
Yeah.
Well, first, congratulations on finishing your book. That's a remarkable accomplishment.
Thank you.
And what's coming through for me for you is that this is a time for you to tend to your child, to your inner child. A lot of times the body is one of our greatest allies. The body itself is an elemental, and it will have us rest when we need to rest. And when we need to be in times of integration, times of writing, times of creating, where there's something for us inside of that message. But now that you've completed your writing task and there's other things that you want to do, I think this is a really great time, similar to how I was talking to Carol about how she can talk to her plants. You can talk to your body and you can have a conversation. Body, thank you so much for all you do for me. Thank you for being the vehicle through which I was just able to finish that book. Thank you for, and again, you fill in the blanks, like really love it up. And then you can ask it, what do you need? And you can also command it, because as an elemental in shamanism, elementals are anything in nature. So that this includes the body, which is all elemental. They love to take instruction. You can program the body by telling it what you would like it to do. And then finally, you can also ask, your allies or some, spirit before you go to bed at night, give me a definitive sign. What am I supposed to know about this? What do I need to do? And I think then at the very end, it's really important that you say, thank you, body. And so it is. And then you hand it over. It's really important that we let go of what we need to let go of. And we don't feel like it's all on our shoulders. Like, Eileen, you don't have to figure this out all yourself. You don't have to be in control. Like, what if you're able to be the child and trust fall into the arms of Great Spirit and know that you are cared for? You're going to be given your next inspired action around your body exactly when you need to know what it is. And in the meantime, you can cultivate that really powerful relationship. There's a tool called the Golden Key, which I did not create. It was now I can't even think of the man who created it. It'll come to me in a second. It's from like the 1920s, but so powerful. And you may have heard of it before, but let me remind you. Any moment that your mind starts to stress, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I need to know about this? Is there something I'm supposed to do? You know, like that, doing the thing where you're feeling in resistance, you literally golden key it. And when you golden key it, it's this energy of spirit, I can't, you can, I'll let you. And you hand it over, and you know in the moment that you golden key it, that you are affirming that the highest and best is unfolding no matter what. It's no longer all on your shoulders, and that you can release it and let go and just come back into the present and do the next right action, whatever that feels like for you, read a book, whatever, and that you'll know what you need to know and you need to know it. And I use this process 1,000 times a day, and it is miraculous. Please try it. Please, all of you try it. You will be amazed at what unfolds when you golden key things that are coming up in your life that feel like burdens or stressors or unknowns. Golden key. I always say golden key the shit out of it. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but do it.
You're allowed, and you did
Okay,
it.
yes.
Eileen,
Taking up all that space.
yeah, Eileen, remember the saying on our calls, let go and let God, golden key it, same thing.
Yes.
Same thing. It's like, what also happens, Steffi, is, for example, Eileen, you just channeled this book, and it really was a channel. It came through you so beautifully and from your heart. And a lot of times when we're in that energy, there's a lot of output energy that's happening, a lot of output. But then we want to move on to the next thing, or you want to channel that in. We want to open up our avenues. But remember, the shamans from the past were the ones with scoliosis and kind of looked a little old for their age and all that, constantly going out. What if we said, hey, spirit, I need a break for a week for my body to catch up. I'm just going to let go and just kind of breathe into. And if you want to inspire me with something, awesome, but I'm not going to chase. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to journey on the next journey of the next journey of the next journey. But I'm going to allow it to come to me without me efforting or worrying about what the next step is. I trust that it'll be shown to me. And while that's happening, or as I get impatient waiting for it after a week, maybe I'll start calling upon it again. But for this week, I'm letting my body relax. I'm letting my mind relax. I'm going to celebrate this amazing communication that I just had with something that's in me, but beyond me simultaneously. And let me rejoice that this connection took place.
Yeah.
And just sit with it and soak it up. Because when we soak that up, we build a relationship with it. When we build a relationship with it, we know how to be intimate with it on a much deeper level than we were before. But if we do the one night stand thing where we go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, you don't get to know it, and the relationship doesn't build. And it seems elusive, even though you have the attraction levels to be able to conjure it from different sources. But what have you cultivated through rest and through appreciation and gratitude?
So good.
What's interesting is I spent 20 years writing 50 songs, and I write this one book, and somebody that's going to be editing it with me. And it's like 3 months of writing a book versus that, and it's like it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing it. I haven't read it yet. I will eventually, but not yet.
Okay.
Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, she's so wonderful. Okay, let's get to another caller. Let's go to Sonia. Sonia, welcome to the call.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, John. Hi, Steph. Good to see you both. Good to be here. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you great. Yes. What's your question?
Yeah, Steph, you said something beautiful about this medicine pouring it. I can't actually remember what it was, but I sort of felt it relevant to me because I've been working on a project since 2014. And it's all in writing, and I really haven't got it out there into the world. And I think that's also probably related to the sort of stiffness in my body as well, you know, and probably always feeling pregnant with ideas, you know, the stomach, swollen stomach. But I'm just wondering what you feel possibly the resistance is there. I have, yeah, if you see that, because I'm not sure whether it's what the, you know, what's going on, the blocks there.
Yeah, I think, okay, the last three of you, I feel what's coming up in all three of your questions is like as though you're doing something wrong. Okay, no, but none of you are doing anything wrong. Spirit's not trying to punish you. There's no superstition here. You know, when you're interpreting signs, what if you haven't done anything wrong? What if it gets to be right? And I'm going to get to your question, Sonia, but like real quick, I recently in Nicaragua, I was there for 6 months and I was going through a major tumultuous time, and a snake got beheaded right in front of me. And I was like, oh God, like, does this mean something awful is going to happen to me? Right. And it took me a good like few hours to process, to finally remember that's not how spirit speaks. Spirit's not here to be like something off. And I realized it was more about off with the head. Stop thinking so much and be the Kundalini, be the snake. Right. So my point is, how can you guys, and so Sonia, how can you interpret this in a way that is for you, that feels good? Because if it's spirit, it feels like love and it feels good. So instead of saying, what is the blockage here? I commend you. You've been working on a labor of love since 2014, simply for the sake of working on it. Nothing more, nothing less. Simply showing up in the world and doing what it is you're called to do with no attachment to the outcome. You know, I have a prayer that I often say, and it's great for creatives and healers. Spirit, from you, for you, to you. And it means I receive, I do it for you, I bless you with it, and I hand it right back over to you. There's nothing else to do other than that. So I would just say, like, is there something you can acknowledge yourself about the work you're doing, about the fact that even when the fear dragons want to tell you, Sonia, your body is tense, so there must be something wrong you're doing, so you should probably just quit. And you don't, right? Like that to me is more the fear dragon that's at play here, is like the way that it's trying to take you out of the game. And how can you instead say, I'm not listening to that. I am right on track. I'm right where I need to be. Thank you, Spirit, for inspiring me day in, day out. What's my next inspired action? And then finally, I'll just give you one last thing, which is, you can connect here through to, there's a portal in the aura of the Earth's outer, the Earth's aura itself that you can connect into. It's your own special spot. You can channel life force energy down through that, comes down here and comes out the hands. You can feel that, right? You can rub your hands together and feel that. I can feel it already for you. And you channel that outward and envision your project in front of you like it's its own beautiful creation, and it has its own grounding cord into Mother Earth. You can connect your heart to the heart of your project, and you can channel life force energy into your project. And you can also, that same invocation that I gave Valerie before, in the name of the I am that I am, and in accordance with my seniority, I hereby command anything that is illusion, leave now. Fill it up with divine light from the city of light and see it as this beautiful energetic ball of spiritual attraction that's calling to it all your healer-healed agreements. Your healer-healed agreements, this is for all of you, you all have them. These are people who were born in, souls that were born into this lifetime to learn from you, to be healed by you in whatever your zone of genius is. So call them in. I hereby call in all that is for the highest and best of this project, and for whom it is also the highest and best. And so it is. Aho, and then hand it over. Golden key it. Give it back. And what's my next action? And then take
Beautiful. It. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. And I think you bring up an interesting point. In our creations, where are we still hanging on? Where do we hang on to not really let it go? and really release it so that it reaches where it wants to be reached, as opposed to us
Controlling
manipulating.
it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
controlling it as to where it can go. So I did it. Okay, I let go. And the next steps will show up and you'll be guided. The synchronicity will show up, or the next inspiration for the next thing will come in while that's happening as well. But it never ceases. That's been my experience. It never ceases. It's amazing.
You're
Oh my God.
absolutely right.
Yeah. Y'all, the special offer with Steffi, I have to go through it here quickly with y'all again, because again, it's an 8-week mentorship, and April will type the link into the chat box as well, so you can go into it. It's an 8-week mentorship. And really, I wanted to go into some of the things that you're going to receive from here. You're going to work with energy to direct the quantum field, leveraging your power of the universe to birth your dream reality. You're going to learn how to consistently connect with your intuition anytime you need guidance. So you get out of indecisiveness, confusion, and analysis paralysis. How many of y'all are experiencing that right now? And take real action. You're going to powerfully call in allies, spirit guides, angels, and other divine help from non-physical realm to assist you in making decisions and clearing your path. You're going to turn off the noise so that you're not distracted, scattered, shiny object syndrome. As you'll get clearer, you'll turn off the noise, and then you'll create strong energetic boundaries so you aren't taken into anything that isn't yours. Then you're consistently going to raise your vibration to be a beacon of light, to call in your healed agreements for this lifetime. And for those that are meant to be blessed by it, you're going to call forth your higher self to come forward powerfully in situations that used to leave you fearful or full of doubts, but your higher self is going to come in as your ally as well. And then you're going to get crystal clear on your higher purpose work that you're meant to do in this lifetime, and how to manifest it so that it brings you freedom, it brings you that joy, it brings you that abundance. And most importantly for me, so that you know what that feels like within your heart on a consistent basis. So this is a special offer. The description and the 4 different directions are there for the 4 different modules. 8-week course, $97, 2-payment option, 30-day money back guarantee. I hope you guys take advantage of it and work with Steffi. You can already tell how fun she is and how powerful she is. So going deeper into this coursework with her is just going to be a gift that I think you're going to give to yourself. Again, the link's in the chat box, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Steffi25. We'll also be replaying the call all week long for the rest of the weekend. The replay link will go out in the email. We'll send out a little bit later, or you can go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replays and be able to watch or listen to this call again. And Steffi, before I let you go, are there any final words of love that you want to leave us with?
Yeah. It was actually on the heels of the last thing you said, John. You just spoke so beautifully into the power of the medicine wheel. That cycle you talked about is the medicine wheel. In the East, we open, we rest, we release the idea that we have to control anything, that we have to figure it out, that it's all on our shoulders. We simply open. In the South, we receive. We receive the divine idea. We receive the support that is ours. We receive everything we need so that we've got the support we need before we ever do anything. And the East and the South are very feminine directions, right? We're opening and we're receiving. We're not doing anything. We're those human beings that you guys are talking about. In the West, we get clear and we claim. And then after, though, we've opened and received, right? The opening is the space for spirit to come through. And in the North, we act, we step, just one step, just the one next inspired action. And then, John, just like you said, then we release it and we go right back into the East and we open again and we receive and we get clear and we step and we release right back in. And it's just so powerful when we're in this container that holds us and allows us the tools and the energetic power to be able to do this over and over in a way that isn't stressful, right? In the physical plane, there's a lot of force. We're trying to manipulate and force outcomes, like a lot of you have been talking about. But in the energetic, these really small adjustments, make huge changes in the physical. And this is how it's meant to be. When we remember who we are as the bridges between the physical and the energetic that we were put here to be. And you do have that inside of you. So here is to your inner shaman. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing in the world. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. And I'm honored to be here with you. Thank you so much, John. Aho.
Aho to you. Steffi, one question. Debbie's asking, is this a live course or is it already taped?
It is already taped. Yes.
Yeah.
And the container of it has been set such that you're already, those of you who are signing up now, you've been held in it this whole time, and you will receive that deep healing that's already there for you. And you've already been included energetically in it.
Yeah. Oh my God, Steffi, thank you so much. It's calls like this and conversations and this type of connection that has made me do this for 9 years and probably another 9 years or more afterwards. It's inspiring, it's effective, it's uplifting, and it's truth, and it's love.
My honor, my honor. And I just want to say that obviously the Facebook group is live, so you are still welcome to ask me your questions as you go, and I'll often do live video responses to your questions and that kind of thing. So I'm still very much here and present in your process.
Beautiful. All right, y'all take advantage of the special offer. The replay will come up. And in the meantime, I love y'all. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your hearts, your energy, for uplifting all of us. Your presence uplifts all of us. Thank you. Namaste to you. And Steffi, I love you. You're amazing. We need to connect.
I love you.
All right.
Till the next time, John.
Yes.
See you soon.